All right, so our theme this year, One Truth, Many Paths, and this month we're looking at a very ancient wisdom, originated in the Chinese culture many thousands of years ago. It's a consideration of cosmology, of life, of creation, of the way things work, the nature of life, if you will, and it's referred to simply as Tao. Somebody asked me this last week, why is it that you're looking at the Tao? And my immediate response is, we're curious. We look at these kinds of teachings for much the same reasons that we've always studied and considered, for much the same reason that our founder, Ernest Holmes, did his work and considered very much the same things in very much the same way. We have a desire for understanding and to look at other points of view. And by doing so, we expand then our own understanding because we have some questions. We seem to have some questions. We're curious. And the big questions seem to be on a macro level, what is the meaning of this? What is the meaning of this? And on a micro level, what might be my place within that meaning? We've thought about both of those questions for thousands of years. We sense that if we understood even a little, maybe we could access a little more good in our lives. Seeking my good. That's what we're doing. Because something in us knows that there is more good. And so this pursuit then of expanding our understanding is good and normal, natural, and a noble pursuit. And we find it everywhere. The beauty of this particular philosophy is that we're invited to look everywhere. And so we start this morning with the Tao of Pooh. Because that's how I roll. Benjamin Hoff, the author of The Tao of Pooh. When you discard arrogance, complexity, and a few other things that get in the way, sooner or later, you will discover that simple, childlike, and mysterious secret known to those of the uncarved block, which I'll speak to a little bit more in a minute. Taoists, the uncarved block, that life is fun. Same thing Margaret was singing about, we're seeking our good. Our founder, Ernest Holmes, speaks to it this way: success, which we seem to be in the pursuit of these days, means that which is necessary to maintain a balance, an equilibrium, a state of well-being, a sense of happiness, seeking our good. You see, there is a commonality. And the further I looked into Taoism, the more I realized that it's very similar indeed in a lot of ways to our philosophy. So we come to places like this to learn or perhaps to remember the nature of things, whether we call it spirit or God or Tao, so that we can work with it rather than working against it. We remember who and what we are and how things are designed, and as a result, how we're designed. One aspect of our book, Simple Taoism, which I have somewhere. Simple Taoism. By the way, whenever a book title says simple anything, it may or may not be an honest representation of the material inside. I thought about checking out Taoism for Dummies, but I found Simple Taoism was plenty for me to try to understand this philosophy well. Simple Taoism, it speaks to balance as an essential nature of creation, essential nature of life. Light and dark, night and day, doing and non-doing. This is the way of creation. It teaches the way of Tao, balance, which has such a wonderful feel to it. when I consider it as it applies to my own life, I have a desire for that. Something in me recognizes that it's a good pursuit. It's a good idea to integrate into my daily life experience. So these ideas sound good, but in order to live it, a bit of inquiry is sometimes needed. We get to ask ourselves some questions in order to reacquaint ourselves with our own nature, because sometimes we learn things along the way in our lives that might be contrary to our nature. And so we end up conflicted within ourselves. What we sense about our nature, our design, this Taoist flow, balance, ease, grace, something in me says yes. And then I've been taught about right and wrong and good and bad. And what I've been taught may not be in alignment with my nature. I have a desire to experience balance and harmony, but I have subscribed, I noticed, to a belief somewhere along the way that life is supposed to be a struggle. You can see where that would be problematic. So we get to consider these things. We get to sit with them. The uncarved block. Imagine for a moment that you're an accomplished woodworker. You look at an uncarved block of wood with a certain affection, knowing that here is uncreated potential. As an uncarved block, it can be anything. The possibilities are infinite. No one can name it because it has not yet become something except what it is in its natural, untouched state, much like Tao. The Taoists believe that if we could return to a state like the uncarved block, we would find Tao or God. But he goes on, human beings, this may not apply to anyone here, but he says human beings are often in a hurry to acquire the finished product, the carving. But once the item is produced, the limitless Tao is lost. A carving of an object is only that one thing. It has a name. It's come into existence. Eventually, it will go through the cycle of non-existence. The sage tries to be like the uncarved block, open to potential without being limited to one definition. See, it's my beliefs that can be limiting, while the Tao, spirit, infinite possibility, we speak to it here all the time, is unlimited. So the result then of choosing one possibility might narrow my experience of experiencing infinite possibility. I got a note this last week that really hit home and speaks to this. And the quote is this: never be so focused on what you're looking for that you overlook the thing you actually find. Never be so focused on what you're looking for that you overlook the thing you actually find. And it's really for that reason that I am occasionally, when I am feeling bold, interested in my limiting beliefs. We seek more good in our lives and in our world because something in us knows that there is more. But I have to tell you, this line of inquiry is not for the faint of heart. Limitation is a funny thing. In an odd way, it can be comforting. It can be comfortable. We define ourselves, you see. I am that. One possibility. I am that. Whew, what a relief. At least now I know what I am. And I don't have to think about being anything else. There is a certain comfort in that. And the most inconvenient part about this whole thing is that in order to open to my moreness, I have to be willing to expand beyond my own self-definition. I have to be able to reconsider that one possibility, because something in me knows that there's more, the uncarved block. What if we were to go back to our beginnings? What if we became what we were before we were defined? Wandered around in that. Before we learned what we should and should not do and be, could and could not do and be. What if we were to strip away that limitation and step back into possibility? And something within me recognizes that and thrills at that possibility and says, yes, I'm aware that some of my thinking is limited. I'm aware that there's more to life. Something in me says, yes, I am curious, interested. One of my favorite readings comes from the preface to Leaves of Grass. It's Walt Whitman. Re-examine all you've been told in school or church or in any book, and dismiss whatever insults your soul, and your very flesh shall be a great poem. And something in me says, that's what I'm here to be. That's what I want to be. But I have to tell you, this line of inquiry is not for the faint of heart. The challenge to open to possibilities requires that I loosen my grasp on what I think I know and what I believe. And my ego can sometimes have a fit when I try to do that. Because there's part of me that thinks it has things figured out. And there's comfort in that. Except that the nature of creation is expansion and change. So I set myself up. Wait a minute, I have arrived at a place of knowing, of defining myself. And life says, wait, perhaps there's more. I have some beliefs. The ones that say, I cannot do that. I cannot be that. I dare not risk that. I have some beliefs that I am afraid. What if I try? What if I fail? What if I look stupid? It's a risk. But then people like Thoreau challenge me when they say most people lead lives of quiet desperation and go to the grave with the song still in them. See, we each have a song within us. I believe that. I know that. It's the nature of creation, unique, individual songs. That's what each of us is. The invitation is to find out what that song is and play it. Not everybody will like it. I will concede that in advance. It makes things much easier for me. Be very careful what you pray for. I'm coming up against those beliefs again, another season of that in my own life. That's the really inconvenient part about the responsive nature of the universe and the creative power of our thought. Once you start changing your thinking, once you begin to consider things like we're considering them today, things will change. That is the way of Tao. It's the nature of creation. When I first came to religious science, something within me rejoiced because I found something here, something good. I was seeking my good, and I found it, and I wanted it. There was light here, and there was joy here. and kindness, and oh, how I ached for it. And so I said, yes, I'm willing to reconsider how I saw myself at that time, which was limited. And I've been reconsidering ever since. See, it's not just about exchanging one carving for a better carving, although we do that too, and maybe that's okay. The carving I have today is much different than the carving that I had when I first arrived here. But then I have to be willing to hold that lightly because it wants to get different again, you see. I never want to be so focused on what I'm looking for that I overlook what I actually find. But as I said, it's a big choice to live this way. And I have to tell you that growing pains at this stage of the game can be uncomfortable. It'll take a little getting used to. I took a job recently that feels really big. And honestly, it feels way bigger than me. And it's banging up against my limiting beliefs, you see, that I've held about myself. Even though they are much different than they once were, the invitation is to allow them to get different again. Just when you think you get it figured out. To be a place where that can happen, a certain degree of willingness is involved. In order to open myself to that moreness, I have to be able to expand beyond my own self-definition. I have to be willing to reconsider and let fall away what I think I am in order to consider what I might be. And it's not just me, it's all of us. This is our nature. I came to realize somewhere along the way that I picked up some beliefs. One of them was that there needed to be something huge happen in order for my life to change, and that is not so. Sometimes I forget, you see, that there's one thing going on here. There's only one life. That life is God's life. In and through and as all creation, all moments, everywhere, every day. See, I'm looking for an expanded experience of good, and I'm aware that I blow right past it every day because I'm busy. What if? One of my favorite questions. What if? What if what I am seeking is all around me, and the invitation is to be a place where the eyes and the heart can recognize it every day? See, when you discard arrogance, complexity, and a few other things that get in the way, sooner or later, you'll discover that simple, childlike, and mysterious secret known to those of the uncarved block. Life is fun. With the eyes of a child, every day is filled with awe and wonder. They know, you see, what I can forget, that the good that I seek is all around me. Something within them, and something that's still within every single person here this morning, knows there is more good to be given and received. And we're a place where that happens. Our job is to be that place. The invitation to be that place. I want to leave you with a thought from another book, which is The Parents, Tao Te Ching. William Martin is the author. And he says this: do not ask your children to strive for extraordinary lives. Such striving may seem admirable, but it is a way of foolishness. Help them instead to find the wonder and the marvel of an ordinary life. Show them the joy of tasting tomatoes and apples and pears. Show them how to cry when pets and people die. Show them the infinite pleasure in the touch of a hand. And make the ordinary come alive for them. The extraordinary, he says, will take care of itself. Let us pray. And we breathe the very same breath of life within which is all possibility, infinite possibility, the good that we seek, pouring itself into and through every aspect of our being. And so my prayer, my intention, my choice, my decision this morning for myself and anyone who chooses it as their own, to say, yes, I am that. I'm seeking my good, and I'm willing to reconsider all that I've been told. I'm willing to look at life with different eyes, to meet it with a different heart, to be a place where the nature of spirit to recognize, to celebrate, and to love itself happens in ever-expanding ways, for that is my nature and my design and my desire. And so grateful for that clarity that sees me through. I rest in that gratitude as I release this word to go before me, knowing it is so. I let it be, and so it is. Amen. Blessed be. Blessed be. So we will allow that to be our transition into our time of conscious giving. I invite our ushers to stand. And I invite you to take your gift in your hand, repeating our giving affirmation, joyously I give. Joyously I give. With an attitude of love. Knowing that as I give, I do receive.